Ahava blessings. Welcome to this episode of Embodying the Shekhinah. This podcast is here to support and guide us during these times of accelerating energies, heightening energies, to embody, integrate, remember our soul essence. I am your host. My name is Aurea. I am an ordained Magdalene priestess, a Reiki master, energy and sound alchemist, and I am your host, and we're going to talk about the energetics of this new moon in Pisces. This new moon, this lunation, it activates a new frequency, a new cycle. So we are constantly going from one cycle to another. And the way that if we understand these frequencies, it's easier for us to navigate the cycles and to embody the teachings. Every cycle, every lunar cycle, every day of the week is a frequency of creation, and all of it holds energy and frequencies that we can work with. And if we know what to expect and we know what's going on, it's easier for us to adapt and understand and integrate the wisdom that is there for us in the moment, the healing, the activation, all of it. So this new moon is happening Thursday evening in Eastern time zone, and it's happening in the early hours of the morning on Friday for our friends in Europe. So it's 4:44 PST, Pacific Standard Time in the US, 7:44 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 1:44 Central European Time, and that's 1:44 a.m. So it's happening at 9 degrees. It seems like all of our new moons are happening at 9 degrees. This is a number 9 year, so there's the 99999 really hitting us over the head. So we've gone over the nines, but just a little refresher. It's endings, beginnings, new cycles, conclusions, finishing the work that we needed to do. So if you're kind of new to astrology, I'm going to share a little bit about what causes a new moon. So a new moon is when the sun and the moon are in conjunction. And different moons have different frequencies and are conjunct and have different aspects to different planets. And all of that plays into the energy. And my approach is a more Kabbalistic, a more ancient biblical, it's actually pre-biblical. But the reason I use that word is because it's that time frame where a lot of this mysticism and this wisdom came forth. So it's not religious based. Not that I think that you would be religious if you're listening to me talk about astrology. So back to the topic at hand. And that's a very Piscean energy that we're working with. The fact that Pisces is so expansive that they just cover everything and they have a hard time remaining grounded. But Pisces is a beautiful, beautiful energy. It's very mystic, very ethereal, very otherworldly. It's an energy that is deeply emotional, deeply intuitive. They feel everything. They often have a hard time being grounded in their body, and this is why so Pisces rules the 12th house in astrology. 12th house has to do with the subconscious, with basically the patterns that you are not aware of, has to do with past lives, has to do with basically the other side of the veil. So if you have a lot of placements in Pisces, or a lot of placements in the 12th house, particularly your sun, your moon, it can be difficult for you to feel grounded in your body, in your physical incarnation, in your existence. You actually might have a tendency to gain weight and to kind of be a little bit heavier because you need that extra weight to make you feel grounded. Pisces needs to work so much with grounding because the tendency of Pisces is to escape. And that can lead to addictive tendencies, which are not the healthiest way to work with this energy. But when this energy is in its apex, it's in its light, it's in its most pure form, it is the energy of infinite oneness, of expansion, of union, divine union with your body, your soul, the divine, the earth, interconnectedness, interrelatedness, that frequency. That's what it is. That's what Pisces is here to teach us. If we allow this Piscean energy to show us what needs to be revealed, because Pisces loves the depths. But the key and the trick to working with this energy is knowing when to emerge from the waters in order to anchor the energies, anchor the higher frequencies in your world, in your human experience, in your body, in your earth, in your Makuta. So there's a lot happening. There's like stelliums in the 6th and 7th houses. So 6th house has to do with your habits, your practices, your daily routines, your health. 7th house has to do with your relationships. So there's a lot of energy that has to do with relationships and with your daily habits, your routine, your health, and also the priestess energy, because Virgo rules the 6th house. We have the Sun and Moon conjunction, but we also have Saturn, Mercury, the North Node, and Neptune all conjunct in the 6th house. And these are in a trine with Mars at 17 degrees of Cancer. So what does the energy of Saturn represent? The energy of Saturn represents the taskmaster, time. It represents what we need to do. What is the mission? What is the purpose? What are we here to do as a soul in order to aid creation, in order to expand in our evolution? Because this is why we incarnate. We incarnate to fulfill a longing, an experience that the divine wishes to have through our incarnation. So Saturn also brings abundance. Saturn is the planet of restriction as well. However, Saturn is restriction, but restriction in order to keep you on the right path. It's the structure that is needed in order for you to fulfill what you are here to do. Because if not, we'd just be kind of going about nuts. So we need the frequency of Saturn. And when we are actually in our mission, when we are embodying our soul and being authentic and true to the frequencies that we're here to birth and bring forth and embody, Saturn loses its grip. Saturn allows us to expand and blesses us with the gifts of abundance. So Saturn is it's a powerful and very strong energy, but it's a good energy. We need that energy here in our incarnation. I don't like the fact that Saturn is often vilified and it's called one of the malefics, because if we didn't have the structure that Saturn brings, that calling us to task, then we wouldn't take responsibility for anything that we create, and we'd basically just go about half-cocked. So it's not a bad energy to work with. It's actually very beneficial if we understand its purpose and what it's here to show us. Mercury is your mind, your intellect, your personal network, communication, technology, travel, short-term travel. So Mercury is the mind, how we process information, how we analyze information. Neptune represents the soul it's technically, I guess, called the planet of illusion, but there's a reason for it, because Neptune represents our soul unencumbered and unincarnated in a human experience. So it represents your soul in its most infinite, expansive self. So of course, when we are in a human form, we have no grasp of what that even looks like. So of course, it would be called illusion, and we would see it as an illusion because we cannot grasp the infiniteness of our soul. We cannot grasp the infiniteness of the light of the divine, because we're human, we're finite. Even the greatest mystics and monks of all time have only mastered and Neptune would be seen as the planet of illusion because it represents something that the human mind has yet to understand. It cannot quantify what Neptune represents. The moon represents your soul in this physical incarnation. The moon is your emotions, your inner world, that self that we often hide from the world for fear of judgment, of persecution, of being ostracized perhaps. We hide our inner selves, our true selves, our emotional selves, in order to protect ourselves. So that is the moon. The sun, of course, represents our outward expression. And the north node is what we are here. It points us in the direction of what we are here to do. It's our north star, our guiding star. It's what we are here to actualize in this physical incarnation. Your south node is the opposite. It's on the opposite hemisphere. It's what you have mastered, your past life, what gifts you're bringing in. But the south node is the node where that's our comfort zone. That's where we feel nice and comfy and we don't want to leave, because the north node is where we need to be. But the north node, because it's not comfortable, it's something we often have not experienced and we haven't spent lifetimes mastering that specific frequency, the north node feels unknown. So we tend to want to be in the south node. But the north node is very, very important when it comes to understanding what we are here to do in this lifetime. I want to separate that from soul mission. Because your soul mission is simply to be. It is to be fully embodied, to have your soul fully incarnated in your physical experience, and to allow that soul to express through you. So what we are here to do, the north node, that has its bigger form, but it also has its little facets. So in every point in time in your life, how you express your authenticity, your soul, is going to change, because our life changes. There is no such thing as stability. It's funny that we human beings, we crave stability and safety and comfort, but yet life is constantly changing. It is the nature of our human experience for there to be change, and yet we hold on for dear life to the past and what we have known, rather than embracing the transformative capabilities and opportunities that life brings with its change, with its expansion. Our soul came here to expand. The nature of expansion is to change and to transform and to create new iterations of your experience. So Pisces is bringing us into the depths of that expansion. It's bringing us into the cosmic womb, into the infinite nature of life, the waters of creation, the Avun, where we can understand our oneness and know that that is our true essence, in order to bring that frequency of oneness, embody it in our physicality, and express our soul's mission through that frequency of unconditional love, of infinite consciousness, of oneness. It is a very beautiful and expansive energy. So this energy is really about healing. It's about healing the feminine and understanding that the feminine does not have a shadow. I don't know how many times I have to say this. I sometimes get really triggered when I see people talk about the shadow feminine, because the feminine has no shadow. In its oneness, it's all infinite oneness, consciousness, light, creation. There is no shadow. Shadow implies a darkness. Which also implies duality, which implies the opposite, which is goodness or light. So yes, if we want to live in this physical experience where there is duality, and we want to continue to perpetuate duality, then yes, please by all means continue thinking that there's a shadow feminine. However, that's not what we're here to do. We are not here to continue to perpetuate separation and duality and all of these lower frequencies that have basically these lower frequencies that we have utilized to co-create the systems and the programs and the nonsense that we are currently living out in our experience. Because we are master creators, we are master manifestors, we are constantly co-creating with divine energy. Now, we may be creating in the dark because we are living in duality, or we may be creating in the light. It's up to us. But we have been utilizing these lower frequencies to keep us in separation, to keep us enslaved, to keep us in programs of scarcity, of lack, of limitation, of that is good, that is bad, that person did this to me, so I don't like them. You get my drift. We've kept repeating these patterns as a society, co-creating with these lower frequencies without taking responsibility for the fact that we are actively co-creating. We are embodying those frequencies by allowing ourselves to remain in judgment, to remain in duality. However, when we do the inner work, which is what Mary Magdalene talks about, it is what Yeshua talks about. This is the inner work. When you go within, you are able to transmute and alchemize those patterns within you that have kept you enslaved to the narrative of scarcity, of lack, of hatred, of racism, of whatever. We all have a combination of these. So we can choose to continue to perpetuate these cycles, or we can choose to evolve and transcend beyond it. It's up to us. And healing of the feminine is understanding that we are infinite oneness, that the feminine is light, it is creation, it is that frequency of unconditional love, and it is that frequency that is in wholeness and in oneness with the divine masculine. So we also have the energy of balancing and harmonizing the divine masculine with the divine feminine. The sun and the moon are in a trine with Mars. We have Jupiter in a trine with Pluto. Uranus is in a trine with Pluto. So we have these energies of transformation, of deep purification, of expansion, of allowing ourselves to die, basically. Allowing the old patterns within us to die and to fall away in order to be rebirthed and expanded in our light. This is the month of transformation. We are entering a new portal. Pisces is the month of Adar. Adar is the month of transformation, of miracles, of joy. In this month, we have the power. We recognize that we have the power to transform and alchemize all negativity. We can elevate ourselves spiritually. We can cultivate joy and happiness. This is also the month of the concealment of the divine. So basically knowing that even though we cannot see the infinite light that is creation, that is God, Goddess, even though we cannot see the workings of the divine in our lives, or we think we can't, the divine energies are always working behind the scenes. So it's about us working on our mindfulness and having faith that we are infinitely held, infinitely protected. All is one, all is interconnected. So how does this work in our day-to-day lives? It works by bringing us to a space of reflecting reflecting on our tendencies. Some people have the idea, the notion that when you're speaking your truth, that you can basically say whatever you want, and there's no repercussions. It doesn't matter how you say it. However, that's not the case. There's speaking your truth that has the intention behind it of creating harmony and unity, of bringing together opposites, of healing, of unifying, and there are words that can be used to create more division and heartache, to create more chaos and destruction, and to sow the seeds of division and separation. This month, we have at our disposal the energies to utterly transform ourselves. Every moment we have that. However, this month, this cycle, it's the month of miracles and transformation. It's the month of unifying with the divine. So why do we keep replaying the same stories? Why do we keep using words that are like a dagger, striking at the heart of people, judging people that we don't know? We don't know their circumstances. We don't know how they arrived at where they're at. What we need is compassion, another Piscean trait. Pisces will see the beauty in everyone and everything because they are infinite compassion. They embody that energy. And as a humanity, this doesn't mean we put up with nonsense, but not a but. And we don't put up with nonsense. We don't allow toxicity and disrespect. And we learn how to see that even when beings and situations are not expressing the highest frequencies of love and creation and light, even in those moments, the seeds of the divine are within those situations and those people. And that is a hard pill to swallow because we have been conditioned to otherize people and situations. We have been conditioned to relegate one thing as good, the other thing as bad. There's evil, there's good. There's, that person did this to me, so therefore that person must be blah, 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 blah. And we create these stories. But meanwhile, that instance is one small fraction of what that life entails. And at any point, that being can do a complete 180 and redeem themselves. But that's not up to us. It is not up to us to judge, to shame, to guilt, to fear, to feed the flames of separation and division. It is up to us to cultivate divine union and nourish divine union within. Because the more we ourselves unify those parts of ourselves that we don't like, because remember, other people are mirrors. So whatever you see outside of you that you don't like and you judge and you shame, that exists within you. So what part of you are you keeping in separation? But most of us, some of us don't want to look at that. But that's really what we need to look at. We need to ask ourselves the hard questions. We need to look at ourselves honestly, fully, without judgment, without guilt, without shame. There is no high horse. No one attains ascension and then uses it to diminish others. That is not ascension. That is not embodying the 5D. frequencies of the fifth dimension, the higher frequencies, are those of union, are those of unconditional love, are those of compassion and grace and faith and love and beauty and harmony. How do we nurture these attributes within ourselves? How do we have faith and confidence that we are good inherently, deep down, no matter how many times we've screwed up? Because we've all done things to hurt people, just as we've all been hurt. Every single one of us. There is no one person that is as white as a dove and hasn't done anything to hurt anyone, whether it's intentional or not. So how can we have compassion for ourselves, nurture that compassion for those parts of ourselves that are wounded, that are hurt, that need love and need our support? Because we cannot give to anyone outside of us peace or love if we are not feeling it, if we don't embody it, if we don't already possess it within. It's just empty, hollow words. We are here to be the light, to embody the light, to share it, to embrace the frequencies of unconditional love, to live them. And this is where our practice, developing a spiritual practice, is very important, because we are human and we will fall off the track because life happens. So if we don't have a community, if we don't have a practice we can go back to, then we will continue falling off the track, and then we'll get further and further and further away from the embodiment of our light and our soul. This is also the month of overcoming the ego, because the ego is the part of us that wants to basically stand on a high horse or on a pedestal and think that we are the cat's pajamas, or we are whatever, the latest thing since whatever. Wants to think that we're right, but that other person is wrong. We can't. We don't know. We've never walked a mile in other people's shoes. So we don't know. We do not know anything about anyone else. So to express words with veiled intention, with judgment, with guilt, with shame, with blame, is only creating more disunity. We need to unite the opposites. We need to overcome the ego. This has kind of been exactly what I've been working on. It's just like letting go of the ego. It's like, no, I need to allow my soul, my light to lead, not the mind, which can only create based on past experiences, which means it cannot never create anything new. You can only recreate what you've lived. So that's useless. The mind is good, as Anna says, my teacher, one of my beautiful teachers and my friend, and my sister, and she always tells us in our priestess group, the mind is great to organize information, to quantify. Beyond that, no. You cannot create a new life, something you have not experienced, if you're running old programs. If you're running outdated software that's running in the background, taking up space, you cannot create the life that you wish to live. You cannot embody and manifest your dreams because you can't. There's no space. So we must create the space. So in the Pisces portal, where we have that connection to that infinite oneness, that infinite consciousness, we can go and align with these cosmic frequencies, bring them down, embody them, and allow them to clear us, allow them to purify, and allow them to shed and liberate what we have been holding on to that no longer serves us. Why are we holding on to 1,000,001 shoes that we barely use? That I'm talking to myself. Why? I had to clear out a bunch of stuff when I moved, and I feel like another purge is happening, because if there's no space and no room to expand, if there's no emptiness for the light to come in, then I'm limited in what I can birth. So I must create the space. And it's the same with all of us. We must become emptied. We must become empty to receive and to share the light that we are. So this is a very powerful new moon. It's really bringing a lot of energy. And then Venus is about to go retrograde. Mercury, we're in the shadow phase of Mercury retrograde. So these times, we're in eclipse season, so expect the unexpected. And this is why a practice is so important. A practice is key to anchoring higher frequencies, because if not, we're going to be at the mercy of all of the energy that's coming in, and we're not going to know what to do with it. And then we're just going to be exhausted and drained, and it's just not going to be pretty. So we learn to flow with the energy, to align with the portal, so we can understand and embody the energies that are coming in, fine tune, course correct where we need to course correct in order to elevate and expand in our soul mission. So the Mars aspect, so the Mars trine with the Saturn, Mercury, Neptune. Mars is direct, so we have a lot of forward-moving energy. So even as we're being asked to reevaluate our relationships, to revisit our communication, our travel, our expansion in terms of our interpersonal relationships, even as the Mercury and the Venus retrograde are bringing us to those spaces, we have the energy of forward movement with Mars being direct. So we are able to slow down, because retrogrades are a time to slow down and carefully evaluate and reevaluate, revisit retrograde. What has to do with our intellect, what has to do with our communication, what has to do with our small network of friends, what has to do with the way that we express into the world, and with Venus, the way that we interact, the way that we nourish our relationships. And the most important one is your relationship with yourself. How do you love yourself? How do you nurture yourself? How do you take care of yourself? How do you allow yourself to receive the higher frequencies of love? Do you need to do a cleanse of your womb? Do you need to do a physical cleanse now that we're going into the equinox? Spring, wonderful time to do a detox. I don't recommend going on a diet or trying to lose weight or doing a detox during the winter months, because in the winter months we are conserving our energy. We are going within. We're basically kind of like really in the womb, in the cave. The energy is inward. It's not forward. It's not outward. With going into the spring equinox, the energy is beginning to go from turning inwards into going outwards. And when it's going outwards, it's an easier time. Your body has an easier time to detox, because science has even proven this, that during the winter months, your body wants to hold on to fat. It wants to hold on to energy. It wants to hold on to weight, because it feels that it needs it for this time of winter, of cold. So listen to your body. Become anchored in the earth. This is Pisces season, is a beautiful time to do earthing. Walk with your bare feet on the grass, hug trees, go for hikes in nature. Really connect with the earth, connect with your incarnation, with the way that you live and express in this human form, in this world. Connect with the divine, because that's what we're here to do, right? We're here to bring in and anchor those higher frequencies, but we're here to anchor them. We're here to embody them. We're not just here to be the vessel. We're here to be the vessel and share that light. So it's a beautiful energy. It's a very powerful, potent energy. The water is a very, very strong element. So water can drown you, water can soothe you, water can purify you, water can cut through the hardest stone. So water is no joke. I'm a Cancer. My sun sign is in Cancer, so I know about the water energy, and it's a very powerful energy to work with, and it's the energy of creation. So we really have this heightened ability to create and to manifest. We're always manifesting, remember, but remember, we must purify and create the space to receive and share the gifts that we are birthing into existence. So, happy new moon. Don't forget to set your intentions. Some people don't like to set intentions during eclipse season. I'm not necessarily one of them. I feel into the energy and I work from there. So I'm feeling that this moon is important, and I'm definitely going to be setting intentions, because I will work with the eclipse energy. I'm not afraid of retrogrades or eclipses. It's like, no, we learn how to work and flow with the energy. That's what we're here to do. We're here to master energy. We're not here to be afraid or to run and hide or to think I can't do this because so-and-so is in reggaeton. No, we don't do that. We tune in, we clear, we allow ourselves to receive, and we allow our soul to guide us. We allow the soul to lead and to show us the way. So trust and lean in to your divine wisdom, to your soul. Embody the codes. Grounding is very, very important this month. And nourish and cultivate your body. Joy, peace, happiness, all of those frequencies exist within you. And it's up to us to bring those energies and share them with the world. Have a blessed day of the goddess. Have a blessed new moon. Don't forget to tune in to the sound activation. That's the companion episode for this episode. And if you enjoyed this, feel free to connect with me on social media at Aurea, at Embodying the Shekhinah. Links are below in the show notes. You can also find me on YouTube at Aurea, also in the show notes. And if you guys have any questions, if you want to share your insight, what you are receiving this moon, this lunation, please feel free to do so, because I do love to hear how everyone is receiving it. Because the thing is that every one of us is unique and different, and we all have a specific natal chart and specific things and energies that get activated. Yes, that's the word, activated with each cycle. So you may be feeling this more in your career, in your 10th house. You may be feeling this more in your first house, which is how you express into the world, your physical self. So we're all different. So while there's a collective energy that we're all working with, there's also how it interacts with us personally. So I do enjoy hearing